All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Chit Chat Chill. I'm Shantae, and I will be moderating our panel discussion. We have a few topics we're going to be talking about. This topic is on the election 2020. Our president still hasn't been decided, and we just want to talk about what we're thinking so far up to this point. It's been about 2 weeks since election night.
What do you mean?
About a week and a half.
It's been decided.
Oh my God.
Not yet.
Decided by
Not
who?
yet.
For Biden, technically. And we might have some people who are. I mean, I don't know. I agree with Santino. Anything can happen. It would
Santino.
Hey, that's my name, yo.
Your cup, fun girl.
That's my name, Santino. Just because you can't say it, well, you can say it.
I'm about to say, honey, don't play with me. You know damn well I say that name.
Good.
Anyway.
No, but technically, our president has been decided by the media, and there's some people 74
by the media. Why do you sound like you questioning? Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Because it is because that's the fact. It's only been by
the media. The media does not. Go ahead, Shantae.
I was just gonna say they're still counting. And there's several recounts that they know they're going to have to do because the margin is so small. Honestly, I don't remember where the recounts are happening. It's like Georgia.
The recount. Yeah, but I know when this happened in 2016, we didn't all wait, the following 2 weeks to announce a president. We said Trump won. There were still counts going on, but Trump won.
We did in 2000. It took 37 days before we knew who the president was in 2000.
That was one state. This is like a gazillion states.
Let me go and just say this though. This goes to like what Peter always says about Trump is that, for the first time in a while, you have a politician who is going to fucking fight. And that's kind of like my thing with it all. And why I say I'm just going to let it play out. Because I know that dude ain't going to stop. He ain't going to stop till a judge tells him that he can't do it.
And you know why? Because he's good at litigation. He's good at the court system. He's good at fucking people over. Fucking people over, fucking companies over.
Hold on, guys. 2 minutes. So technically, we're supposed to be responding for 2 minutes and then let someone else respond. So
here's the thing, though. He's great at litigation. He even said it. Like, he said it in 2016. Like, he knows how to use all the tax loopholes and all. Yeah, it's Trump. It's Trump. You are literally getting what you expect of this man. Like, is anyone surprised? I'm not surprised.
CJ, did you want to respond and then Peter?
No, everything he said is true. Who's surprised? Like, this is what he does. He's good at litigation. But this is the thing. This is the people always, or at least a lot of people say they hate people who always want to, find the loophole or the easy way out, who want to avoid taking responsibility. Like, everything people claim they don't like, he is or he does, and it's fine, but it's only fine because.
I feel like the easy way out would be to just concede the election and walk away, man. I don't know what the hell.
It's for his benefit. He's gonna do whatever benefits him. So this is no surprise. He's very predictable.
Peter.
So what I find funny is it was asked directly in the debate to Joe Biden, will you declare yourself winner before everything is finished? And he said, no, I won't do that. I'm going to wait. And yet him and the media are doing exactly that. And who gets attacked? Trump is the bad guy for waiting.
Wait,
are you guys going to shut up? So Trump is the bad guy.
Oh, somebody Jesus today.
So Trump is the bad guy and his supporters are the bad guy when it's your side that's doing exactly what you're blaming him for doing. It's just ridiculous. You have states, states that are going to recount. You have several states that are going into litigation because they broke the law, had nothing to do with Trump. They broke the law, but it's somehow Trump's fault. Okay. So this is what I always find funny is you guys are making it seem like it's a Trump and his supporter things. When Joe Biden said he wouldn't be calling the election until everything was certified.
Until nothing's been certified.
Yeah. Okay, we got to stop. The
media jumped and said they declared winner, and now everybody's making it seem like that makes him the elect. When everybody for the past years, everybody for the past years have been sitting there saying how the media manipulates and separates everybody and divides everybody, and that's exactly what they're doing. And just like normal, you guys are just jump right all over that bait. So,
yeah, we got to stop because that's not what happened at all. Joe Biden declared himself the winner. He said what it looks like is I'm the presumable winner because of everything that's happened. Because if you look at the results, I look like I'm going to win. So we're going to let the results play out, and it looks like I'm going to win, which it does. That's all he said.
Front of a sign
now
that says
we've
office
had
of the
current president
that's a lie.
declare himself the winner the night of the election before votes were counted.
Exactly.
I don't understand how you could, like, you clearly don't want a democracy. You clearly don't want to listen. Like,
we're not in a democracy.
You know, because if you say none of these votes count, stop counting, I'm declaring myself president now, even though this is not how our system works. Fuck the system. I'm changing everything because of my benefit. And like his supporters are like, yeah, let's do what he says. Let's do what he wants. Like, that's not how an election works. All the legal votes should be counted. That's just period, point blank. That shouldn't even be an argument. That's something that's just like common sense though. Like, you know, you can't call an election the night of. But yet Trump tried to do that. He tried to say, I won Michigan, don't count any more votes. I won Pennsylvania, don't count any more votes. I mean, that should be enough right there where it's like, you know, he's full of shit. Like, cut him off.
Well, you just lied.
Hold on. So Wes raised his hand, but Jasmine and LaShawna had said something before that. Did you guys want us to talk, or did you want Wes to talk?
I mean, no, I pretty much was just going to say what CJ said. Like, Trump declared himself president that night without even waiting on anything and wanted to do all this and the other. Basically, CJ said what I wanted to say, pretty much.
And LaShawn, did you want to say something before Wes? Okay, Wes, go ahead.
There's several articles about this today. I don't know why we're not talking about this, but it was pretty much everywhere. This one is from Time magazine, but you could read it anywhere. In the most direct refutation yet of President Donald Trump's baseless allegations of widespread voter fraud, his own government declared on Thursday that, quote, the November 3rd election was the most secure in American history. The joint statement by a group of federal, state, and industry election officials was released Thursday evening by the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, which is part of the Department of Homeland Security. Quote, there is no evidence that any voting system deleted or lost votes, changed votes, or was any way compromised, the officials noted in a sentence that was highlighted in bold lettering for emphasis. It came just hours after Trump tweeted in all caps, claimed that a voting company had deleted and switched the votes that had been intended for him, a debunked conspiracy theory that has been making the rounds on right-wing media. So again, I mean, this is circulating pretty much everywhere. It was the first thing when I woke up this morning and I saw there's a bunch of different ways to read that. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to say like, oh, this is what happened and this is what I'm saying. The fact is the government claims that this was the most secure election in American history. His government says that. That's all I got.
The head of the FEC said that there was definitely some fuckery afoot, though.
Hold on. Peter was going to say something, then Santino.
So this whole count, it's count the legal ballots, count the legal votes. That has always been the push. As far as this, there was no switching of votes. That's just a flat out lie. It happened in California, it happened in Michigan, where people thought they won or lost and they ended up switching. So the whole Dominion software, who conveniently enough is owned by Dianne Feinstein, it's happened. So to say that no votes have switched, that's just a flat out lie. And the fact that we're sitting there taking time, okay, at times, because the Time magazine is somebody that we want to listen to. So the fact that we're sitting there saying that it didn't happen when we all saw it happen, it's admitted. You can look and see in Michigan and California that it's happened. As far as it's a legal vote versus a non-legal vote. To people sitting there acting like it hasn't been happening, where you've got, I think, 234 sworn affidavits. You have people on video admitting to destroying ballots. You can watch them do it. You have people swearing that they were told to backdate ballots as they came in.
Yeah, there's even a video of something of like a class where they're actually talking about doing that, like a training of some sort.
Most of what we're talking about isn't from is ballots coming in after the fact that were not checked for signatures. That's what we're talking about. In Pennsylvania, which they broke the law because their Secretary of State or whoever it was decided to switch it and accept ballots after the fact. That's illegal. They don't have any authority. That has to go to the legislator. It didn't happen. So you
The
had
Supreme
hundreds
Court
of
let them
thousands
do
of
it, though.
ballots come in after the election that are getting tossed out.
You're at 2 minutes.
Go ahead.
Santino, you want to say something to CJ?
Oh no, I got nothing. I mean, Peter's just gonna say everything that I was gonna say. CJ, you go ahead, bro.
Well, I mean, if we're dealing in facts, it is a fact, though. The president did not want all legal votes counted when he said stop the counting on election night. If you wanted all legal votes counted, you would have said stop counting on election night. He said that.
That's a lie.
He said that. You can go look that up, very clear. That's why discussion sometimes can't be had because people don't want to accept the truth or accept facts. He said that. You can go look it up. He said it. Those are his words, not mine. But it's just, we just need to deal with facts. If there's voter fraud, it'll be uncovered. But coming from a party who's always crying wolf, you can't take them at their word. This is the same party and same president that had undeniable facts and proof that Obama wasn't born in this country. Nothing came of it. They had all this evidence that Hillary Clinton was going to jail for this Benghazi scandal. Millions of dollars later, nothing. Now we got voter fraud. But when you look at voter fraud over the last couple of years, the two biggest cases of voter fraud were two Republican, a congressman and two congressmen that got felony charges against them. So every time we look at voter fraud, it's being conducted by Republicans. So the people who have been charged to date over the last 2 years are Republicans.
That's a lie.
That's not
a
true.
flat out lie.
That's not true.
That's a flat out lie.
There's been people literally put in jail for voter fraud in 2016.
I'm talking about elected. Well, there may be more elected officials, but we got two congressmen who are Republicans who have been charged, with felony charges for voter fraud. So it's like if there's real voter fraud, it'll come out. But we got to stop watching these, little videos that people put up, Trump put up, or one of the Trump sons put out a video, and then 30 minutes later, it's like, no, that video is full of shit. So it's like we got to stop going by all these little, people looking for their little 10 minutes of fan clips.
So
and
go ahead, Santino.
Well, Santino, did you want to say, or Wes, did you want to say something before Santino?
Yeah, go ahead, Wes.
I just want to know how many votes would it take to for the fraud to outweigh whatever the fraud is, wherever it's at. By somebody down. If he's down 40,000, 50,000, there are not 50,000 cases of fraud, but there's not.
Yes, there are.
This idea, but I really want to get to the heart of this because I don't. We've all been voting for at least half of our lives now, or at least been aware of the process. This idea, we do this. I just don't get it. We've been doing this for such a long time to act like now all of a sudden everything is different because of the parties involved. The system been the same. Nothing was different from when the coronavirus stuff. But other than that, the whole voting thing, I put my ballot in the machine. It counted the same way it always does. Yes, we can argue about all this. I don't really want to argue about that. I just don't understand how, if you're, especially states that are run by Republicans like Georgia, if you're in that state and you lose, your own party is in charge of how did Democrats, and I don't care about, again, sides be damned, if they rigged that, not only did they do a terrible job at rigging it because they forgot to rig the Senate, I don't know how you count all those ballots but not the other ones. And he's also been declaring, when I say he, I mean Trump, he's been like, I won Alaska. Yeah, because they just finished counting Alaska. They also just finished counting North Carolina, which he won. So I don't understand how those are good and those count. But Georgia doesn't count because I didn't win that one. So we need to recount that. Nobody's arguing the ones he won. And no one's arguing the Senate. No one's arguing the House. Democrats lost seats because they picked a candidate that wasn't good.
So two things. One, the biggest difference.
Hold on, real quick though, man. Wes, if you look at the concerning thing with this, we're talking about the Senate votes, right? There's something I forgot how many votes there. It's a lot of votes where people like 2 million votes or something like that total, where like people only voted for Biden. Like there's ballots where there's nothing else, and it's just it's a statistical anomaly. It's a statistical anomaly that there's votes for Biden with no votes down tickets. And and going back to like a bit of a conspiracy theory, it'd be harder to get away with that if you're propping it up all the way down. What it'll do is it'll call into question a bunch of down ballot tickets that they don't want to risk. So the idea is that the fraud was focused specifically on the president, so that it doesn't put in the risk any of the other candidates down ballot, your House seats, your Senate seats, things like that. Because I think they were pretty confident that they were going to expand the House or the Congress beyond what they did, which goes back to my other point. Because I'm going to play both sides here. And this goes back to what I was talking previously before we started recording. I don't know how fully convinced I am with widespread voter fraud, in terms of like people switching ballots, things like that. I don't believe people would risk felony voter fraud for Trump and or Biden. Or I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but I do think that the bigger thing to look into would be the Dominion software. I believe that if the fraud occurred, it was a software fraud. And now you're talking about a handful of people with backdoor access to computer programs, which, I mean, we see what the hell can be done with that with our Equifax histories and shit. So, I'm just not fully convinced on like randos, individuals like you and I doing that type of stuff. But I definitely can see it being a software-based issue, something that's written in the coding itself.
Peter, did you want to?
Yeah. So two things. One, CJ, to your point where you're saying Trump said stop the vote. What he was talking about was at 10:30 he was up. At 11:30 he was up big. Those 4 states went and said, we're going to stop counting. They sent home the poll observers, the watchers. They continue to count until 1:30 in the morning. And voila, Wisconsin miraculously finds 130,000 ballots that all go for Biden. That's what he was talking about. Stop the vote, stop the count. He didn't say stop counting everything. He's saying stop because all of our people left because you said we're stopping the counts after he's up by hundreds of thousands in all of these states. That's what that was about. It had nothing to do with, no, we don't want to count any more votes. So to push that is just BS. Wes, to your point, as far as the voter fraud, everybody knew this was going to happen. Trump was talking about this in July. Conservatives been talking about this since July because this was part of the HEROES Act. The voter fraud is from the mass mail-in ballots. Everybody saw this happening. You push out all of these ballots and you can ballot harvest, which they're caught on tape doing. It's not a conspiracy theory. They're doing it. Everybody knew this is the easiest way to say how many votes do we need. You look at Georgia. There was a morning, I don't remember, I think Trump was up like 100,000 votes. Georgia says all of our votes are counted except for 25,000 in Fulton County, the Atlanta area. All of a sudden, 2 hours later, they count them. Trump's still up. We found another 150,000 votes. Trump is still up. We found another 50,000 votes. When that happens with these mass mail-in ballots, that doesn't, I mean, none of us trust the government. That's what we always say. We don't trust the government. We don't trust the media. But yet here we are, hook, line, and sinker, believing in everything they're sitting there saying. So that's what that's coming back to is and to solve all this is really simple. In-person voting with an ID, done. End of story. We don't have to sit there and worry about all of this because if they continue to push this, which was directly pushed by Nancy Pelosi for this reason, we're gonna keep having this. Nobody's gonna be trusting any of the ballots.
So LaShawn and then CJ, but do you guys care if I say something real quick, LaShawn? I was just gonna say that I did find it really interesting. Like, I honestly, when I found out that Trump or Biden might win, I felt some relief because I'm gonna admit that I'm kind of like just tired of all the divisiveness and all of the craziness that's going on with the Trump presidency. I don't like how it's divided people. I wish we were more like together on the change that happened. The change that he brought was massive in 3 years. I don't know if anyone has been able to wrap their heads around everything that's happened, but I feel like more than not, it's been a divisive feeling across the nation, for the non-Trump supporters. I feel like the Trump supporters are feeling really good and are hoping for recounts that will lead to his reelection, which is fine. But I did find it really interesting that I saw votes stop counting. That was the first time I've seen that. And y'all know I'm a conspiracy theorist, but I mean, we've been voting. I've never seen them stop showing the results on TV. I was like, this is weird. That definitely made me think. I was irritated because I went to sleep and Trump was winning and I woke up and nothing had happened. All of a sudden, Biden was winning, but they had stopped counting. That doesn't, like, I agree something's going on. I don't know what. I don't trust the media, so I don't know where to go to find facts. I feel like I can't find facts, but that was weird to me. I also found it odd that there was like record voter turnout on both sides. I get the like conspiracy theorist point of view that like, how is all of this happening? It seems really weird. But then when, to Santino's point, the logical part of me says, there's no way that we're gonna go through like some felony just so Donald Trump doesn't stay in office for another 4 years. It seems ridiculous. That's the logical part of me. But then the other part of me is like, there were some really weird things that happened that I've never seen before in my, 30 plus years. So anyway, LaShawn, go ahead. And then CJ.
Well, you just you said you've been frustrated by the Trump presidency because of the divisiveness, but that you're surprised by how many people came out and voted, because people feel strongly one way or the other. You either feel strongly about the Trump situation or you love Trump so much that you came out and voted. Hence why there's so much voting on both sides. That, and then, you guys said too much and I didn't bring my freaking notebook this time to write notes down. Crap, I don't remember the other thing I was gonna say. You kind of said what I was going to say. I just find it hard to believe that the voter fraud was across all of these different states, especially half of them or more were Republican states. Like, it's just hard to fathom that this huge, massive conspiracy would be going on. And the counties that they hadn't started counting or hadn't finished counting were obviously blue counties. So to me, it wasn't weird that those votes started to come through. They were waiting on all those people in Atlanta, and then Atlanta votes came through. They were waiting on all those people in wherever the hell city.
I don't think that was the issue, though. I think the issue was they had the number of registered voters and they knew how many votes they were expecting, and then they received like double.
But when I went to vote, they told me I could register that day.
No, yeah, because you're in Illinois. Not all states allow same-day registration, though.
But how many of them do? So then it makes more sense that people were voting.
Right, but there were some states where they knew how many registered voters to expect, and they still had more. There were some numbers thing that don't make sense, and I remember numbers. So I remember the numbers when I went to sleep. I remember the numbers when I wake up, and I agree that some stuff didn't make sense. I will completely.
And you looked up if you could register to vote in those states?
I looked up what states we were able to, you could register to vote same day. And I was starting to do the research on what made sense. And then I stopped because I was like exhausting myself. And I'm a conspiracy theorist, so I exhaust myself too much. But hold on. So it was LaShawn and then CJ, Peter, and then Wes.
Just really quick and really simple. Trump put together this voting integrity commission 2 years ago. They said they couldn't find any voter fraud in 2016 because according to Trump and Republicans, there was voter fraud in 2016 and they were trying to stop it from 2020. He put together a commission. They said, no, there's not widespread voter fraud. Wes just said other branches of the government came out. This is the most secure election we've ever had. you look at the fact that Trump lost the popular vote by more, 5 million votes at this point. So he's 5 million down in the popular vote, but people have problems believing that he lost certain states by, small margins or whatever. It's like, clearly he's not a popular person. He brought people out to support Joe Biden, who's not a great candidate by any means. Joe Biden, this is his third, fourth time running. I mean, he's a very, I'm no Republican or Democrat, and I actually had to vote for Biden. And even though I said I would never vote for him, I had to, just because of the Trump effect. He made people go vote for Joe Biden. That's how much people despise Trump. So we got to stop acting like all of a sudden there's all this widespread voter fraud when everything we've had to this point points to no. And again, you got the popular vote, it goes against Trump. You got the Republican states that are run by Republicans. Republicans run the Senate. They got the attorney, William Barr, all these things at their disposal. But yet this happens, this quote unquote huge election. I mean, voter fraud happens on their watch. Like, it makes no sense. All it is just, of course, this was all predicted though, because Trump knew there was going to be a lot of mail-in ballots coming because a lot of people don't like him. He knew there was going to be widespread mail-in ballots coming. So what did he do? He put somebody he knew in charge of the post office. We're not even talking about that. And that guy, made sure, or he did his best to make sure votes didn't come in on time. He's actually, he got subpoenaed to go to court because he was given a court order to make sure his post office did a sweep to get ballots in on time, and he didn't. He failed at his job. So a Trump appointee failed to get mail-in ballots in on time. Trump gutted the post office funding to make it, less efficient. So all of these things, just common sense. And it's just, I think people are just mad that they didn't get the candidate they wanted, they didn't get the way they wanted. But again, facts are pointing to one thing. If there is fraud, it'll be uncovered. I mean, it should be, right? Because you got so many Republicans in charge. But if there's not, then it won't be.
All right. So this whole notion that it's
I think Wes is next. I think Wes is up next.
That this whole notion that this is a Republican-led states that are having this issue, it's just a flat out lie. Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania,
Georgia,
Arizona. That's all. That the people in charge of the voting there are all Democrats.
You didn't mention
Georgia. So to sit there and say it's just a lie. I didn't mention Georgia because Georgia is Republican. I'm talking about the comment that LaShawn made that those are all in dispute or all Republican led. It's a flat out lie.
Arizona?
Hold on, guys.
Arizona, the head of the person in charge of Arizona is a never Trumper. She's a Democrat, a never Trumper. You can look at her Twitter feed and find that. You look at Pennsylvania, the person running that flat out said Trump will not win here, flat out, end of story. The difference between 2016 and 2020, it's been predicted, the mail-in voting, all of these mail-in votings where you can just send out all of these. If you're a registered voter, you're getting a ballot. That's where the fraud is happening. So to compare this to any other year, you can't, because and to solve it, go in person. You don't have this in absentee ballots because you don't have the mass number to sit there and review. So when the big thing, and again, if there was an issue, why did all of these places refuse the oversight that is required by law? You're supposed to have somebody there matching signatures. You can't match a signature from 100 yards away. That's where they were telling them to review it. I don't care how good your eyesight is, raise your hand if you can match a signature from 100 feet or 100 yards away. You can't do it. So why are you why are you telling people, no, you can't come in here and observe when you're supposed to? Why are you sending people away, telling them you're going to stop the voting, the counts, and then continue to count when one side leaves? Doesn't make any sense. Everything that they set in place was intentional for this to happen. And one big thing is everybody's pushing against, the Trump thing. People have been fighting against Trump for the past 4 years. So to sit there and make it seem like all this upheaval is on Trump and his supporters, you guys have been pushing this Trump's illegitimate president bullshit for 4 years, telling us that that Russia hacked it and that's how he won in 2016. I'm talking about in general, the left in general. So, but now all of a sudden we're saying, hey, wait a minute, there's actual fraud here. Now everybody's saying, well, our elections can't be cheated. You said it 4 years ago that it happened, but now it's impossible. Get the hell out of here.
Okay, Wes and then Jasmine. Tino, if you're raising your hand, you have to say something because I couldn't see you. Okay, Wes, Jasmine.
I used a little graphic to raise my hand. If you ever see it pop up,
okay,
I tend to do this.
Okay. Go ahead, Wes.
You be killing me out there on the Oregon Trail, man. I think all I was gonna say is that the numbers are still consistent with what you would expect and what we've seen. The numbers as far as like demographics and exit polling and stuff, I mean, he actually gained 2 points with white women. White women in 2016 was 53%, and this time it was 55%. His popularity was pretty much the same. He gained more of the Latino vote, which we can argue what that even means. And the black vote stayed the exact same, 12%. So it is what it is across the board. Like this was what it was. There's just more people that voted. And I don't know, again, people want to do the thing about the mail-in or whatever. I'm not going to pretend to know. I just know that if we're going to talk conspiracies, a huge part of a conspiracy means that somebody has to be against somebody else. The police don't tell on the police. Trump is the police. He is the head of all of the police. He is that guy. If all of a sudden he is the person that everybody banded up against, that's not a conspiracy. That's not how that works. These are people who would be on the side of let's keep the people in power in power. They don't overthrow power using a conspiracy. It doesn't work that way. So I'm just curious as to how the logic of how this is. The only thing about it is just the danger of being so in love with a figure versus like, all right, this is what's likely to happen. I mean, Buster Douglas knocked Mike Tyson out. I didn't like seeing that. Nobody liked seeing that. It's hard to be like, damn, man, Mike lost. But he lost. Like, it happened. Okay, so we just go on to the next thing. Damn, Mike, you got to get him next time. I know it sucks and it's hard to understand for a lot of people, but like, he lost.
Okay, Jasmine.
No, I kind of just wanted to hit on just kind of, I guess what Peter was saying, that everything's pretty much like illegitimate or whatever with the mail-in votes. But like I've read a lot of articles and watched a lot of videos on Republicans saying that who voted for Trump in 2016, that due to their unsatisfaction with him, that they chose, that they're now were whatever, because we already voted. That they made the choice to vote for Biden. So it's just like if most of the mail-in votes, which everyone is saying are Democratic votes, whatever. But also I think people are not considering the fact that not everyone that voted for Trump in 2016 also voted for him again in 2020. Like they changed their vote. So it's just like these states that are coming up that aren't supposed to be blue or whatever. It's just like, it's not only the mail-in votes though too. Like it's majority. That's why all the fraud is what they're saying. But I don't know. That's just kind of my thing. Like I think people are just trying to like it just not kind of, I can't remember who said it, but just they don't want to accept that Trump just is not the one that people want or that they chose. I don't know. I don't know why everyone's making this such a big deal. I'm sorry. It is what it is. Fucking move on, which is what I was saying in our group chat when y'all was blowing that shit up. All this arguing and whatever, and who fucking cares? We have to wait till they fucking figure it out, till all the goddamn recounts are done.
Play out though. We need to let it play out, and then we should probably after this talk about what's going to happen if it flips back to Trump. Sorry, Peter, did you want to say something? Oh, Santino, sorry, I missed your graphic.
Chop liver, yo, chop liver. No, there's a lot that's been said. There's a rational argument, based on, the Trump, like the idea that Trump lose. Okay, let's say like it's for real, like Trump's losing, right? I mean, there is a rational argument to be made where people are don't want to deal with Trump's divisiveness and decided to vote, against him while still maintaining a check on presidential power with the more Republican-leaning Congress. That's a rational argument to be made. I can see people, especially people who are not necessarily new files in politics, to kind of make that call. That being said, now going back to Jasmine, he gained like 11 million more voters. What support did he lose? And if I'm not mistaken, he gained in Hispanic voting, but I want to say Trump got like 7% of the black vote in 2016, 6%. And so he doubled his black support. Black support amongst women went from 4% to 8%. And it went from black. Yeah, and it went, I want to say black men went 12% to 18%. That's a double of his support. Hillary Clinton scored 92%. She didn't get the magic number of 93, which guarantees a win nationally. That's one of the factors. That goes back to another thing, bellwether statistics. Jasmine, why is this such an issue? Because based on every metric, every historical metric, the way that people call election the last 100 years, Trump had every single metric done. I mean, he got like 16 of the 17 bellwether counties that historically vote for the presidency. By every metric outside of polls, Trump should have had this election in the bag. So yes, there's an issue where people are looking at that and being like, based on historical precedents, how the hell did he lose? And that calls into question a lot of like, well, what happened here? I'm done.
Peter.
Yeah. So, I think what tends to happen is like, Jasmine brought it up, and Shantae, you're so eager to move on from that Trump presidency, which is fine if that's how you feel. But since you're so eager to move on, you let all of this stuff that you can call anomalies if you want. There are things that are happening that should raise a red flag in any other situation would raise a red flag. Like, wait a minute, but everybody's so eager to move on and call it and move on and be done with it. And when somebody who gets 73 million people vote for him, and they vote for him because he fights for them. So then when him and his supporters are saying, wait a minute, first of all, it's not done because these states are in a recount. These other ones are being litigated. These 73 million people don't want him to just to roll over and just quit. That's the reason why. And I think what the other side is like, well, I just want to move on. Let's move on. The media is ready. They're moved on. Social media giants, they've already moved on. When you look on Facebook, when it says Donald Trump, it's still that they pulled away president. It says political candidate. He's still your fucking president. It doesn't, even if you do get a new president elect, he's still your president. So that just tells you like, and I've been telling you guys the number one reason, not the number one, but a big reason why people support Trump is because he fights against everything that conservatives have to deal with. And that is the far left, the left, the media pushing and calling us names and then just belittling that his base so much. So we don't want him to quit. You guys might be, let's move on. It's over. It's not over. Nothing is over until those votes are certified. Nothing has been certified.
Yeah, and I think it's worth saying, I think we're all okay with it playing out. At least that's what I think I've heard, is we're all okay with it playing out. But that's what I was saying, like maybe we should talk about what's going to happen if it flips back to Trump, or what do we think, not even within our group, but like what do we think is going to happen globally?
Riots. I
feel like people are going to be doing the opposite. They're going to be like, no, there wasn't voter for, like, I don't even want to think about it. Right,
but that's not happening.
Right.
That's the other. I really just want to I love, me. I love the possibility, the drama. It's not happening. It's
I don't
absolutely
know
not
if it's
happening.
happening because
No,
I feel like
I'm
the only places where I've seen and looked up news so far about what's going on with the pushback is all
The Supreme Court already weighed in on Philadelphia. They're not going to be allowed to take all of those ballots. So he's going to lose. Hundreds of thousand ballots are going to get thrown out in Pennsylvania.
So many states.
Hold
It's
on.
so many states.
We'll see though. We gotta let
Nevada,
it.
Nevada wasn't even mailing.
Gotta let it.
I think all the
Nevada
homie
wasn't
needs
even
is
mailing
like,
ballots.
Hold on,
He
guys.
That's a
won that
lie.
based
Yes,
on
it
walk-ins.
Hold on.
Yes, it was, CJ. That was mailing. They were one of the first ones
Put it
that
like
pushed
this.
it to everybody.
Put it like this. We keep talking about all these conspiracy theories, yet all these lawsuits so far have been thrown out in court.
That's
Nothing
not
has
true.
been found. All of these videos with people with all these fake ballots, destroying ballots, blah, blah, blah. Nobody's been arrested. Nothing's been uncovered. Nothing's been done. So again, all we're talking about is these whack conspiracy theories, but you already have the million, the 5 million votes he lost by.
This goes to what I was saying.
Realize he was not a popular
CJ is doing exactly what I said is the problem here. Like you're just blanketly dismissing this completely without giving it any sort of second thought. This idea that the election could have been manipulated in a way. You're blanketly dismissing it. Dude, you're blanketly dismissing it.
I'm not dismissing it.
You're
I said
sitting
it'll
here
happen.
saying that we're fucking crazy. Like
I'm saying,
I can see it in your body language. You have contempt.
No, listen. If somebody's doing something illegal,
body language, bro.
Okay.
If somebody's doing something illegal and it's on camera, what's going to happen to them?
Do you think
what's
I'm
going to
irrational
happen to
for
somebody who
thinking?
does something illegal on camera?
Do you think I'm irrational for thinking that something could be manipulated? Am I irrational?
No, not for being manipulated. No.
Am I irrational for thinking that it's possible to do voter fraud? Am I irrational?
And see, and that's why I have a problem, because now you just said that that's what I was thinking. No, I said if there are videos of all this stuff going on and nobody's going to jail and no action's been taken, that doesn't make sense. You have
they're being investigated now. You don't go to jail before the investigation.
A Republican controlled president. You got an attorney general who will fight for that president. So if all of this illegal stuff is going on, where's the action?
It's being investigated. That's what's happening.
And again,
it's being investigated. And you keep and you keep saying that everything.
Imagine if the Trump administration went and started throwing poll workers in jail. The scandal.
Again, I mean,
hold on.
Go ahead, Wes.
Peter, you were gonna say something, or Wes?
I mean, Biden was up in North Carolina for a while. He lost North Carolina. Alaska has no people, and they had the slowest count I've ever seen in my entire life. Who the fuck is counting in Alaska?
It took them 2 weeks.
Yeah, and we never
I want to say Alaska had until the 13th, if I'm not mistaken. It wasn't that they were counting slow.
Well, but again, we don't care about like the stuff that we're focusing on, and I just don't like that. I don't like that shift. I'm trying, like, if we try our best to be objective, which I know is really hard with this particular conversation. If we try our best to be objective, we can't say this only counts for the ones that we want them to count for. That's been my issue. That's what I posted in the group chat, is like, you had half of the supporters in one state yelling stop the count, and in another state where it's beneficial, you have keep counting. And it's just that madness right there, that hypocrisy is what's really scary. That is terrifying.
You're manipulating everything that was said.
Guys, you literally need to let each other talk. Like, come on.
The only thing here again is, like I said, there's stuff it works both ways. We can't just pick and choose which one. Oh, okay, well, it doesn't count there. Again, that's what I think when people are like, all right, I'm just glad to be done with it and glad to be over with it. Like, it doesn't matter. They still gonna do the due diligence and it doesn't count until it's certified. This is literally the first year we've ever said that. We were all alive for 2000. We all watched 2000. We all went through that. So to act like all this is new, this is not new, but we know how it's going to play. I know how it's going to play out. So I'm really curious I'm not even curious about it. It's just emotional at this point. It's just like, Biden's the president-elect. We can all feel how we want, I just don't know why. Like, we're stuck on this. We can really talk about other stuff at this point. Like I say, Tyson lost too. It happens.
The fact that you keep pushing, and you guys have been doing this for the past 4 years, you push a false narrative. And when you talk about people are getting emotional, it's because you're jumping, your emotions are on a false narrative. This whole, stop the vote, but continue to vote. Those are specific cases, and you're acting like it was just a broad statement. It was very clear what Trump was talking about. You're choosing to dismiss it and say, he's being a hypocrite. He wants to count and stop. He's saying, stop counting because we don't have people in there observing those ballots. That's what he's talking about, as clear as day. He's saying, count those in Arizona because LaShawn posted it. What was Arizona doing? Live streaming the count, live streaming the verification. Why the hell would you stop that vote when you have verification and you have the oversight? In these other states where you stop, you kicked out one side and said, you can't be here to oversight. And that doesn't cause a red flag to anybody because it was your side that was like, it's benefiting you guys. So then you're okay with it. But if it was reversed, you guys would have been like, oversight. You guys demand oversight for everything else, except for the most important thing. It doesn't make any sense.
Jasmine.
Oh my God. I honestly feel like like Wes said, we can argue about this shit all motherfucking day. Everyone got their point across. This needs to be a one and done situation. That's number one. Because Peter's going to keep saying what he's saying, and Santina's going to keep saying what he's saying. This conversation done. That's one. But also, what you're saying about us and all these other people, what they're saying about these conspiracy theories, I'm pretty sure if Trump won and Biden's people were saying the same thing, you would be feeling the same way everybody else is feeling. It can go both ways, no matter which way it goes. And like we all keep saying, wait for the results to come out and talk. And I think you also mentioned people like having these conspiracy theories off of emotions. The last time we had this Zoom call, which was like a month ago, everyone pretty much let each other have their turn. All y'all are yelling over each other, act like y'all ain't got no goddamn motherfucking sense because all y'all got emotions about this right now. So I need people to relax, let people talk. You are going to have your chance to talk, and this topic is done. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Jasmine says it's going to be an editing nightmare, and I ain't got time.